Hi folks, Rodney back again with Rodney's Northwest Riding Reviews. Today I'm going to do a walk around on this 2026 RAV4 Limited all-wheel drive. This is ruby red flare that you see. It does have the light gray interior, and I'll show you the interior in just a little bit. You'll notice that this one does have the 20-inch wheels. Now, standard wheel for the Limited model is an 18-inch, but this does have the upgraded 20-inch wheels. The RAV4 Limited is going to come standard with your Safety Sense 4.0. It's going to have the new Arene Infotainment system. It does have the advanced park as all standard equipment. It's also going to have the panorama view monitor. As far as additional features, this one does have the 10-inch 10-inch heads-up display, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. You notice that you got the honeycomb grille, you got your LED fog lights, you got your LED high definition headlamps. You do have the LED running lamps and then turn signals. Okay, from the back of the vehicle, you can see that it does have the overlay emblems. And for those of you that are not already familiar with it, those overlay emblems actually are just an emblem that goes right over the top of the standard chrome emblems that come on them. You got it up here, you got it down here. This one and all the Limited models are going to come standard with the foot activated liftgate. So on some of the vehicles, you'll find that the liftgate, or the foot activated part, is right below these sensors. Well, on the RAV4, it's actually right in the center. So if you just kind of hold your foot underneath the center there, and it opens up. Now, you do have the ability to turn that feature off, or for whatever reason you wanted to. You notice up here, you've got a button here that will open and close the liftgate. If you wanted to set a height adjustment on it, what you would do is you'd move it to wherever you want it, stop it, push and hold the same button again until you hear it beep a couple times, and that sets a height adjustment on it. This button right here, if you wanted to close the liftgate and then lock all the doors at the same time, that's what this button would do right here. Each time you push this button, it's going to go in the opposite direction. Now, as far as cargo capacity, with the rear seat backs laid down, you're going to have just over 70 cubic feet. Inside here, with the seat backs up, you're going to have just over 37. Spare tire is standard equipment. It does have the JBL audio system. This is your subwoofer back here. It does have the LED cargo lamps. And those are actually a really neat feature. That really gives you a lot of additional light other than the small cargo lamp that you have right there. This one does have the all-weather floor liners. You got your LED stop lights. Now, you notice this parking sensor right here. You've also got one in the front, and that is for the advanced park. So that's the self-parking mode. And so I'll show you in a few minutes, I'll show you how that actually operates. But when you're driving up to a parking space, those sonar sensors are what actually measures the distance to make sure you have enough room to park in there. We have space right up here on the right-hand side for a parking space. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to activate it by pushing this little, looks like a steering wheel here. You notice here that it's telling us that we can actually park right here on the right-hand side, but we want to go a little bit forward. So let's keep going forward here. Now it's telling you that the vehicle's not stopped. So as soon as I put my foot on the brakes, it's still wanting to park me right here to the right here. So we want to go a little bit further. You can see where it's measuring the distance here. So once we get up close enough, now I'll put my foot on the brake again. Now it's telling me I can park in there. So it's asking me if I want to pull forward or if I want to back in. So currently I can see right here, it looks like it's going to back in. So let's go ahead and start it. You take your foot off the brake, Now it's doing everything on its own. So you see the turn signal is coming on to let people know behind us that we're backing in. You can see here right in between the lines, gives you that blue path showing where it's going to park at. You can see how it's lined up perfectly in between the lines. So as I mentioned before, you have a lot of room on this side over here. You're a little closer to the vehicle over there, but it's lined up perfectly within the lines. And so it gives you a diagram showing, you know, exactly how it's lined up. All right, so let's go do that again. We're gonna pull forward. So we just backed in there. Let's go ahead and pull forward this time. Now, one thing to note, this switch that you see here, this is called shift by wire. So the only way to have the advanced park work is to have this type of a shifting mechanism. If you had the big gear shift selector, because it has a mechanism, you know, mechanical linkage in between the gear shift selector and the transmission itself, you would not have access to this feature. So it has to make shift by wire in order for it to work. All right, so here again, let's go ahead and go forward. You can see here that the yellow line is measuring the distance to make sure you have enough room. So now you can see that we're coming up to that parking space. If I put my foot on the brake, okay. Okay, sorry, I didn't activate it there. All right, this time, instead of backing in, I want to pull forward. So I'm going to change that. And now it looks like it's pulling forward, and you can see the diagram here where it looks like the vehicle is pulling forward. So now we're just going to go ahead and start it. I mentioned this in another video that I did on the self-parking, is that it gets very close to vehicles, and the first couple of times I used it, I thought I was going to hit something. You notice how close it gets to the vehicles here in the front. You have sensors start going off, but every time I've used it, it has never hit anything. Now, could you actually park faster than what it parks for you? I think so. But for somebody who is, let's say for instance, you have traffic coming up behind you and you want to make sure you do it in one shot instead of having to, back forward, go forward and then back up and readjust several times. This does it in one shot every time. So there again, you're parked within the lines. You can see exactly where you're at. And it does give you a diagram to let you know that you're parked accordingly. So let's do one more. We're going to take it out and we're going to parallel park on this street. Okay, so same thing. We're going to pull up till we find out that we have enough room. So here again, we're going to go ahead and activate it. Okay, now it's telling me that I could pull in, but I want to parallel park rather than just pull in. Okay, so now I'm going to parallel park. It's showing the brackets there where it's actually going to park at. And you can see here on the screen, going to straighten out to get a little bit closer to the curb. And there it is. So it actually works very well. Now when you parallel park, it does move forward and back a couple times, but that's just to make sure you have plenty of space in front of you and then also behind you. So it actually works very well. Okay, I want to talk just briefly about getting in and out of the vehicle. So you notice right here on the door handle, you have a little line here. So if you wanted to lock the doors, and let me grab the key fobs here. I was going to demonstrate how the NFC card works, but unfortunately, until you set up the connected services, that part's not going to work. Anyway, if you wanted to lock all the doors, you just put your finger or thumb on that line right there and locks all the doors. If you want to unlock the doors, you put your hand on the inside of the door handle. You may have heard it unlock. It's only going to unlock the driver's door first, but if you hold your hand in there long enough, then it will unlock the rest of the doors. Now, there is a adjustment that you can make inside the screen that will allow you to go ahead and make it where all the doors unlock at the same time. Now, what I started to show you with the NFC card, and this is what an NFC card looks like. So it's red on one side, it's white on the other. You notice this little top where the circle to lock and unlock the doors. Anyway, if you will hold that towards the top, or hold this towards here with the white side facing out, that will unlock the door for you. Now, once you get the door unlocked and you get inside the vehicle, there's an NFC symbol right here. And so then if you just hold it up to that, then it will allow you to start the vehicle. Like I said, the connected services part is not set up yet, so it's not going to work. But once it is, then it will. The next part is that inside the cup holder, I don't know if you can see that symbol right there, it looks like a little key. So on all models, they're going to offer this NFC where you can actually lay a key fob inside that cup holder. So basically the premise is if your battery was dead on your key fob, you could lay the key fob in that, and it still uses that NFC technology to go ahead and allow the vehicle to start. On a lot of the older Priuses, you used to be able to hold the key fob up to the ignition, and then it would do the same thing, but they've changed it and put it in the cup holder now. So let's jump inside. All right, here's the window sticker from the vehicle. Now granted, we've already pulled it off. This is a sold unit, and so waiting for the customer to come in and pick it up. But you'll notice that the base model price is $43,300, and then it has heads-up display, which is a $600 option. It has the premium paint. The ruby red flare does have a pearl base to it, so there's additional charge for that. You got $1,240 for the 20-inch wheels. You got a screen protector. You've got the rear cargo lamps. You've got crossbars, blackout emblems. It's got the all-weather floor liners. It's got the door scuff protectors, and then mud guards and, of course, door sill protectors. So the total amount, and this is called total suggested retail price, or TSRP, is $48,832, which does include the destination charge. So now let's start running through some equipment here. Got to get some air going here. It's still a little warm. All right, you've got your memory seating here for multiple drivers. Down here, you have the ability to brighten or dim the panel lights, and that's going to be your LED screen here. You have the ability to open or close the liftgate from inside. Any hybrid is going to have an electronic gas release, and then of course you got your hood release next to it. Now, on the steering wheel here, and I'm going to move this up just a hair so we can see better. First off, you notice that you see the heads-up display in the screen there. Now you can brighten that. You can also move it to make sure it's in your line of sight. You can tilt it a little bit left or right. On your steering wheel, your arrows left and right are going to operate your center 12.3-inch MIDI screen. So first off, You can change where you got one single gauge there. You can make it in 2 gauges. You can change it where there's no gauge at all. Then you can move all of your settings over here. And so this is for your cruise control, and then also has your lane trace assist is going to be there. But you can move those settings, which you see there, and once they're engaged, like for instance, if you have lane trace assist, you're going to have white lines on both sides, and it's going to show it's, you know, how it's actually operating. I've got temperature gauge up here. You've got time over here. You can set up trip distance. Now, the gauges on this side are just going to go up and down. There's not a lot of adjustments. Your messages for routine maintenance. You can go into your settings. Now, in previous models, and when I say previous models, I'm talking about the RAV4 in previous generations, all of your safety settings was in the settings menu right here. Unfortunately now, and I won't say unfortunately because it's actually a much better system, but now everything is in your stereo screen. So you have the ability to turn on or off the heads-up display, which is currently turned on. If I wanted to go in there and make adjustments to it, I can push and hold the OK button. It opens up an internal menu. I can change the brightness if I was to hit the OK button. And you see I make it brighter. I don't know how well you can see that right now. I kind of moved it out of my line of sight. And then, like I mentioned, you can go in there and you can choose what you actually see inside of it. Now it's much larger, so you can put more features in there. And then, like I mentioned, you can do the rotation. If you go down to vehicle settings, I'm going to push the OK button and hold it. All right, PBD stands for power back door. So I can set a power back door adjustment. Now I mentioned, I don't think I mentioned, I think in a previous video I have mentioned that there is times where that power back door can actually get jammed. So for instance, if you had it opened up and say because there is electronic activation on it, let's say somebody just reach up there and grab the door handle and then pull it closed without using the electronics, it can actually force it into a jam type situation. And so if you ever needed to obviously get it unjammed or get it working again, because what happens is once it jams, it just stops working. You can forcibly pull the door closed all the way, and then once it's closed, then you can try to open it again. Sometimes that will actually reset it, but if not, you can go into PBD, which I have highlighted, push and hold the OK button, and then it opens up where either you can turn on hands-free or off. Sometimes turning that off and then back on will actually reset it, or you can go into opening adjustment. I'm going to push and hold the OK button. Now I can go up or down through the settings on it, and sometimes when you do that, just going down and then all the way back up to the furthest adjustment or the highest adjustment, sometimes that will reset it as well. After you do those couple of things, that should reset it, and then you shouldn't have any more issue. Scheduled maintenance typically is taken care of when you bring it in for your Toyota Care. Rear seat reminder. This is great for people who have kids, but let's say, for instance, you don't have any kids and you don't need to be reminded every time you shut the vehicle off. What the rear seat reminder does, when you use the key fob to lock the doors, it's going to beep 4 times if this rear seat reminder is left on. And so let me give you a better example. Let's say you went out to the car, you opened up you unlocked the doors with your key fob, you open up the back door, close the door, then you get in the vehicle, you drive to wherever you're going, and then once you get there, you open your driver's door, you get out, lock the doors, and go inside. If you don't open that rear door again, it's going to beep 4 times to remind you that, hey, you might have forgotten something. So if you don't want that to beep 4 times, you can turn this rear seat reminder off, and then it's only going to beep once. You can change the volume on the buzzer, and that's basically just a warning. And that's it for your vehicle settings in the 12.3-inch display here. All right, on this side of the steering wheel, we kind of briefly talked about it, but if you wanted to turn your cruise on, you hit the mode, And then when you're ready to set the cruise, all you do is you hit this button right here. And so that's going to set the cruise. Now, obviously you have to be in drive before it's going to do anything, but your cruise will pop up and it's going to let you know what speed you've set it at. Now, when you do this, it's going to turn on lane trace assist at the same time. If you decide that you do not want that turned on at the same time, all you have to do is hit the button, and then you notice that it just disappeared from the display right there. Okay, this is for your adaptive cruise control. You'll see the changing lines there. So for me, in my vehicle, and I have a 2025 Tacoma, it looks like the 4 lines are around 10 car lengths, 3 somewhere around 7, 2's around 5. I've heard some people say it's actually based on speed, so it's not based on car lengths. And that could be true. I'm just telling you what I've seen and what I feel, when I'm driving. Okay, on the panels here, you have dual wireless charging. So you got Qi wireless charge pads. So you have dual charging here. Here you have your drive modes. So you can either hit the drive mode here. Let me get past this so you can see. All right. So if I hit the drive mode again, it's going to pop up. You've got normal, eco, sport, and custom. In your normal mode, it's going to be just kind of somewhere in between eco and sport. But when you hit sport mode, a couple things happen. Sport mode will actually stiffen up the steering wheel to give you a better feel for the road. Your brake and your throttle response are going to be a little bit quicker as well. Now in custom, you can go in there and you can configure that. And so, for instance, if let's say, for instance, you wanted the additional performance of the sport mode, so we can go into powertrain, we can hit sport, but yet in steering, we want just normal. We don't want it to be stiff, so we can leave it in the normal mode. And then you can also go in there, and if on your air conditioning, if you wanted to come on as an eco setting, and the reason you may want to do this, because it's a hybrid model, anytime you're using electric, it's basically draining the hybrid battery. So the eco mode will hopefully, possibly, and maybe get you a little better fuel economy by using that. Personally, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. So for me, it really, I wouldn't change it. So we're going to go back and make this normal again. And steering. Okay. All right, so that's how you customize it. So like I said, you can actually do it on the screen here, or you can hit the drive mode here. In order to configure it, you would have to do it on the screen. The EV mode allows you to run a nothing but electric, but it's only going to do that up to 25 miles per hour. So that would be in a basically just kind of like a stop and go type setting, or let's say, for instance, maybe you're cruising through a mall parking lot and you just want to run electric. You don't want gas engine coming on to prevent having to use gas. So just hit the EV mode there. Like I said, it's only going to run for about 1.5 miles, or once you exceed 25 miles per hour, then it kicks itself out of that mode and goes back into the regular hybrid mode. Okay, you have your USB-C, fast charging here and there. This is your panorama view monitor. So if I push that button, it's going to give you a 360-degree view around the vehicle. You can move it wherever you want. It used to automatically rotate around the vehicle. Now it's set up where you can actually move it to see whatever part or whatever side that you want. And then you can basically move it anywhere you want to. And then, of course, you have your parallel view right here. If I open the door, you're going to see how it opens up, and you can see the wheel there. So the nice thing about this is that when you're backing in, or let's say you're backing out of somewhere, you can see where you're at within the lines. But you can also set it where the front-facing camera automatically comes on when you get under 10 miles per hour too. The way you would do that is while you're in the panorama view, you're going to put it in drive. Now, it is set up where it's automatically that way. So you got your front-facing camera that you can see in front of us. Actually, I apologize. Now I just turned it on, where now, when it's in drive, you got your front-facing camera on. And then you can also see, parallel view of what's on the vehicle. So in the event that you get your vehicle and this camera automatically comes on when you put it in drive and you're under 10 miles per hour, if you don't like that, all you're going to do is you're going to go in and click on this auto setting here to turn that feature off. Or If it's not turned on, the way you get there, put your vehicle in drive, hit the view button right here. That auto setting will come up here, and if you see a line through it, that means that's basically preventing that from coming on, but you just click it and it'll set it again. So now there's going to be some people ask, well, why does this vehicle have this button here for the drive, where a lot of them have a gear shift selector that you move forward and back? So because it has the advanced park, which is right here, it has to have the shift by wire. And so this is all done electronically. So there is no mechanism in between this and the transmission other than the electronics itself. So that's why they have that here. That's why it looks different. And you have to have that in order to have the advanced park. All right, on this side, you have trail mode. So trail mode, basically because it is an all-wheel drive system, you have one electric motor up front, you've got two in the rear. In the event that the front wheels start spinning faster than the rear, then it will automatically engage the electric motors in the back. What the trail mode does is it locks it into a 50-50 split, so you can see it's engaged there. It says trail on the dash, or you can hit it again, and actually it's hitting it again is not going to do anything. However, it will, oh excuse me, you got the normal button here, which that turned the trail mode off. Once you exceed 25 miles per hour, it will automatically kick itself out of that mode as well. And then of course snow mode uses the analog braking system, but it also affects the transmission too. It would actually start in second gear as opposed to first, and just basically prevents the tires from spinning. Now when I say second gear, I'm going to refrain from that, because on a hybrid model it's CVT, which in this case it's the eCVT, so it's not shifting gears per se, but you do have planetary gears in there that changes how that starts, so it does help prevent from spinning the tires. All right, on the bottom of the mirror, you do have a digital rear view mirror, and there's a little lever right here. So if I flip that, you'll notice that the camera comes on the back of the vehicle. Now, you have settings on this side. You notice that by moving that changes the view of the camera. So this button changes what you're actually adjusting here. So for instance, if I wanted to move the camera left or right, I could do so. If I wanted to change it, the rotation, I could do that as well, or I can completely turn it off if I wanted to. You can also change the brightness on there too, or just flip the switch and it goes back to a regular rear view mirror. On this side here, you have Home Link, so you can program either your garage door opener or electric gate. You've got place to put sunglasses or eyeglasses. You do have map reading lights. They're going to be both on the driver and passenger side. They're just a touch sensor right there. If I wanted to close the shade on the moonroof, keep in mind this front half of the moonroof does open up and slides back. The shade, anytime you open the moonroof, will automatically open, but you'll have to manually push the button to close it. You can move that shade wherever you want it and stop it. So like for instance, if you wanted to cover up people in the back, but yet still wanted the sun to come through here, you can move that accordingly. You'll notice here that you have a microphone here, you got one here, you also have one built right in here. So these are designed where you can actually have your phone paired from either side. So for instance, if one person was using Apple CarPlay and they had their phone paired up, then the passenger could have their phone paired as well, but only using Bluetooth. That way you could both be paired at the same time. Most Toyota vehicles, you can have multiple phones paired, but only one can be connected, but they've actually changed that. All right. The new Arene infotainment system. So this is your 14-inch screen. You do have some shortcuts built into it, and here I'll show you what I mean. If I push this button right here, this opens up a shortcut menu. So with this, I can do things like I can change the brightness of the screen. I got a little slide scale there. I've got it currently set on an auto setting, or I can set it at nighttime, or I can go back to daytime. If I wanted to touch that screen, or excuse me, shut the screen off completely, just tap it right there. Tap anywhere in the center, gives you the ability to turn that screen right back on. If I go back into the shortcut menu again, you can change user profiles from here. You do get roadside assistance, comes free with the vehicle, so you could go ahead and change it there. Or excuse me, you could call roadside assistance from there. You do also have an SOS button right here. So let's say, for instance, you get into an accident. It comes with what they call Safety Connect. Safety Connect, for people who have ever heard of OnStar, works very similar, but let's say, for instance, you get into an accident, triggers the airbags to deploy. It will automatically send a signal to Toyota, which in return can try to contact you through the vehicle speaker system. If you don't respond back within a certain period of time, they would actually send an ambulance to your location, but only in the event of the airbags deploy. Let's say you're out somewhere, you have no cell phone reception, you still need emergency help, you can still hit the SOS button, and when that comes on, they're going to ask you, is it emergency or non-emergency, and you can just basically tell them what you need, but they can actually see your grid coordinates and send help to you even if you're not familiar with where you're at. You can change devices being paired up there if you wanted to, and that kind of takes care of that little shortcut there. Now, if I go into the audio system, this is the audio system here. Down on the bottom right-hand corner, you have a place where you can go in there and you can go to your settings menu and you can click on equalizer. Now, on most vehicles, you're going to have a treble, mid, and bass that you can use to basically change the way the music sounds. Here, you actually have 6 different adjustments from your bass all the way up to your treble. You can adjust them accordingly, and you have 4 different presets. So if you like certain genres of music to play a certain way, but yet say you want, for instance, country, where you want more bass and less treble, you can, like I said, adjust it accordingly and then make those presets where you can preset it however you want it. Okay, if you wanted to tune to a specific station, number one, you're going to pick whether you want AM, FM, or Sirius satellite radio. So let's say it was Sirius satellite radio. And let's say I wanted to go on ahead and, where did my tune station go to? Oh, I'm sorry, right there. If I wanted to go in and tune, I can put in the number of the station, I can hit Sirius XM, excuse me, tune to channel, and then the channel came up. Now, if I wanted to preset the channel, all I have to do is hit preset on the star, and that's what actually presets it. So when you get your vehicle, there will already be presets set up from the local area. If you don't like those presets, just click on the heart again, and that deselects it, and it's no longer there. All right, if I go back to my home screen again, you have the ability to set this up where you have, for instance, this is navigation and you have music, but you can also set it up where you have 3 different screens. So you could have, you know, your phone paired up, you can see the drive mode, you can set up weather once you've got it paired up to your phone, or you can customize it as well. Navigation obviously isn't working until I get the connected services up, but on the limited model, it will come with 1 year of dynamic cloud-based navigation. Okay, let's go into the menu now. One thing I forgot to show you is that in this little shortcut that we talked about, you do have the ability to go in there and turn on Wi-Fi hotspot, but then you can also go in there and cover some of your safety settings. And these are things that you might want to go in there and just, you know, quickly turn on or off. But lane departure, blind spot monitoring, pre-collision, your parking sensors, which are those are the sonar dots, both front and rear, rear cross traffic alert. So rear cross traffic alert, when you're backing up at a grocery store, just picks up that cross traffic. Now, if there's any of these that you're not familiar with how they work, by clicking on the little menu next to it, it will give you an animated version showing how it works, and of course you can turn it on or off. If you hit configure, there again on this particular model, it's just an on or off. Now, let's go into our safety settings through here. You're going to go down to driving assist, hit driver support. First one at the top, you see it's turned off. That will always be turned off when you first get the vehicle. And the reason for that, proactive driver assist uses all the sensors on the vehicle, and so it has a lot of, I guess, ability to adjust the driving habits of the vehicle. And so, for instance, if you're driving along, let's say there's a bicyclist in a bike lane next to us over there, And as you approach them, your vehicle is going to drive over to the left-hand side of your lane to give that bicyclist more room, and then pull back into the center as you pass them. Because that has that much impact and input on how the vehicle steers, a lot of people don't like that. So they leave it off, and then you can turn it on if you want to. But you just toggle it on to turn it on. And then if you want to see how it actually operates, you would watch the little animated version there. Also, you have the ability to set up certain levels. Excuse me. So for instance, in braking, you have a low level, or excuse me, low, medium, and high. And what that does is, let's say for instance, if somebody kind of ran out into the lane in front of you, it would determine on how quickly that takes over and brakes. Same thing with steering assist. Steering assist, you're just going to turn on and off, but you actually set the support level through this setting here. Deceleration assist, this is either on or off. There again, you have the ability to set the support level there. But what deceleration assist is for, let's say you're out on the highway, you have your cruise control set and you're using the dynamic radar cruise control. Let's say somebody pulls in front of you and they're going slower than your cruising speed. Your vehicle is going to slow down until it gets that same safe distance, or that safe distance that you see here. You see the lines moving right there. That's how you adjust that tracking distance between you and the person in front of you. But deceleration assist can determine how quickly it starts slowing down if somebody pulls in front of you and is going slower than your cruising speed. The other point or other chance where you'll see this deceleration assist coming into play is in this box up here. You have a camera, and as part of roadside assistance, it sees road signs. And so let's say for instance you're driving on the highway, you're driving 70 miles an hour, there is a 45-mile-an-hour curve coming up and it looks like you're not slowing down fast enough. If you don't, this is going to take over and slow down. So based on your medium deceleration assist, it will somewhat slowly start slowing the vehicle down just to make sure you can make that curve. If something happens that you're still not slowing down, then it can take over and just slow down the vehicle, accordingly. All right, lane change assist. This is something that's new for Safety Sense 4.0. It's standard on all the 2026 RAV4s, but we've had it on a couple of vehicles in the past. The way you use it, if I was to push, basically just kind of go down one time with the turn signal but not fully engage it, you'll notice that it blinks 3 times. It's also using those sonar sensors that I showed you on the outside of the vehicle to measure to make sure you have room to make that lane change. And if you do, it will physically cause your steering wheel to turn and make that lane change, but then straighten back out as you get into the lane. So you can either turn that feature on or off, but that's what lane change assist is. Trailer driving, I'm not going to go over that because it doesn't have a receiver hitch on it, but traffic jam assist, if you're on a 1-lane highway and say you're going, one lane, it can be multiple lanes rather, but you're only going on a designated highway. Let's say you're in stop and go traffic, you're driving 25 miles per hour or less. You got all of your safety sensors are turned on, including your proactive driver assist. It's going to light up on the dash and let you know that you have the ability to use traffic jam assist. And when you do, you physically take your hands off the steering wheel. You don't have your feet on the brake or throttle. It does all of the steering, all of the braking activations, does it all by itself. You do have this screen right up here that's actually watching your eyes. So when that's engaged, if you don't look straight ahead, you're watching the road, it's going to start basically give you an audible alert, and it will start blinking on the dash. And if you're still not paying attention to it, then it will kick itself out of that mode. And then you go back to just driving yourself. All right, go back to parking assist. And these are the sonar sensors we've already talked about. Now, parking support brake does a couple different things. Parking support brake uses the sensors back there, and if it detects an object as you're backing up, if it looks like you're not going to stop in time, it can physically lock your brakes up and it will just come to a screeching halt. Some people would rather be notified ahead of time rather than it just completely lock up the brakes, so you can either turn that feature on or off. If you put a receiver hitch on the vehicle, and you can do that, so the only 26 RAV4s that are going to come standard with is going to be the Woodland Edition, but You can get a receiver hitch for all the models. Once you install them, you can tow up to 3,500 pounds. The receiver hitch itself is $709 if you get it from Toyota. And then, at least through our dealership, it's about 5 hours of installment time. They do have to physically take the bumper off, and then they have an insert that goes in there where the receiver hitch sticks out through the bumper, so it looks like it's integrated. If you do it aftermarket and you don't use Toyota, then in most cases that receiver hitch is going to sit down lower underneath the vehicle, and you could possibly lose some of your ground clearance. So anyway, what I started to say about the park brake is that if you put a receiver hitch back there, and let's say you put a bike rack in there, if you don't physically turn this feature off, those tires hanging down in front of the backup sensors will make it think you're going to run into an object, and will physically lock your brakes up if you don't turn it off. So in the event that you do that, be sure and turn that feature off. If you have it wired accordingly, when you plug in a trailer, it's going to automatically deactivate that switch. Rear cross traffic alert picks up cross traffic when you're backing up. Rear camera detection, if somebody was to walk behind you or push in a basket of some sort, then you can go on ahead and turn that feature on or off, however you prefer. Panorama view monitor. All right, you can change the body color. And so let's go ahead and change it for the customer here. Camera image, auto on and off function, I'm not going to mess with that. Parking assist, and then park assist sensor. So you can determine how quickly you want those features, and we're talking about the parking sensors now. If you want it to be near to the vehicle before they actually start working, or if you want standard distance, and you can do the same thing for both front and rear. Now for the advanced park, you can actually adjust how it does everything. If you know that you're going to park a certain way, let's say for instance you always parallel park, then you can do so. But if you want to park perpendicular, you can set that method to be standard. You can also adjust how fast you want it to pull in or out of these parking spaces. And so I'm going to warn you, or give you kind of a heads up. The first few times that I did this with the advanced park, I thought I was going to hit the vehicle, and I actually slammed on the brakes. It gets dangerously close, but I have never hit anything using this, so it actually works very well. But anyway, don't be alarmed when it looks like it's getting really close. It's supposed to look that way. Okay, we go back to collision mitigation. And there again, we've already gone through these settings. These were in the shortcut up here that I showed you earlier. Notifications, if there was any notifications, it would show up in here. We talked about road sign assistance. That's that camera that's in the black box up there. And then drive monitor. So the driver monitor we talked about is this screen right here. And then if it looks like you're getting sleepy, this driver brake suggestion, they used to call it sway warning, now they call it driver brake suggestion, but a picture of a coffee cup used to come up. I'm not sure what comes up now. It might be the same thing, but then it could be just a symbol that pops up on the dash to let you know. Okay, that kind of takes care of the Arene infotainment system, and then also your Safety Sense 4.0. Now down here, as far as setting climate controls, so you have the large tactile buttons here that you can actually change the temperature here, but then you can also change it by just pushing the button there. You got a slide scale that you can move it up or down. You can also do them one at a time using the adjustments there. You can separate the temperature on both sides of the vehicle, but if you were the only one in the vehicle and you want to lock both sides together, you can hit sync, and that locks both the temperatures together. All right. You do have heated and ventilated seats. You've got 3 settings for the heated seat, or you have an auto, and then you also have 3 settings for the ventilated seats as well. Now, you will, when you turn the ventilated seats on, you will hear a little bit of a whistling noise. This started back when I had my 2022 Tundra. I was driving along and I'm hearing this whistling noise, and I can't figure out where the noise is coming from. And it actually took me a couple days. It was in the summertime, but the air was coming through the perforation of the seats up here right behind my head. And because I was hearing this whistling noise. I could not figure out where it was coming from. I've had quite a few customers call and ask me the same question. So just in case that happens to you, it's coming behind your head and it's through the ventilated when the seats are on. Front defrost, rear defrost. You do have heated mirrors. They are tied in with the rear window defroster. You do see you've got the tweeters for the JBL audio system up there. Down here, and I've already showed you the NFC little symbol there. You can open liftgate, and like I said, you can adjust the brightness on the screen there. So I think that is the biggest majority of the items. You do have vanity mirrors. They do have adjustable visors here on the side. You got your grab handles getting in and out of the vehicle. You got them in the back there as well. This is the gray interior. It is actually a really light color interior. This actually looks pretty good because you've got the difference in the contrast in the door panels here. This is a soft touch